And now to some jazz where Kenya's middle class continues to spend thousands of shillings on tickets to jazz events. The popularity of this culture is gaining traction as Nairobi continues to attract international performers. Here is more.
Traditionally, Kenyans have had great appreciation for genres of music like reggae, R&B, and local tunes like rumba. But the last decade has seen acceptance of other types of music, among them jazz.
Kenya has a very diverse population, people who are very exposed, people who really know what they want. And the middle class is really growing now. In the last 7-8 years, jazz has really grown in Kenya. So we're getting a lot of demands now to play in a lot of weddings, a lot of corporate functions. There are a couple of international festivals that are coming in now to look for Kenyan musicians to play in those festivals. So there's a lot of demand for good music in Kenya, if I should put it that way. And jazz of course, is at the top of that pinnacle.
It's growing, but in my view, I think there needs to be a start. I don't think there is, I mean, they're musicians, they're jazz musicians, but I think the onset is not there yet. So if we have a jazz scene, sort of like a jazz bar or a jazz representation by local artists, and then even invite an international artists so that we can exchange ideas. I think that's the best way, because we look up to international artists. So if we have exchange programs, and then that way the jazz scene can grow.
Jazz is considered one of the longest lasting genres of all time. And here in Kenya, promoters and performers are using concerts to erode a common sentiment that this music is only for the affluent.
Jazz is for everybody, and you know, for the longest time, I've played now for 12 years professionally, and it is just a notion. If you come to where we play, it's common folk who come there. It is not something that you would say it's only meant for a certain class of people. Jazz is for everybody. If you look at the history of jazz and where it started, jazz came from the spirituals, from the Negro spirituals, and it grew from into the ragtime, into bebop, and then of course into all these other subgenres of jazz. And you cannot just put jazz as a certain person's kind of music. Jazz is the most expressive kind of music, and you cannot say it is only meant for a certain crowd. No, it's not.
The Safaricom International Jazz Festival offered a global stage for local artists and attendants to celebrate jazz. On average, the annual event attracts 6,000 people, collecting about $60,000 in ticket sales.
So I think Safaricom is already doing a great thing, bringing concerts, bringing world-known artists and charging a very low price, and the packaging of it as well. Kenyans love their drink, they love their nyama choma. So this is a good way of marketing it. So I think we need to go along that drive, make it more attractive for people, make the locations more accessible. And I think the natural music will just appeal to people, and that will make it grow. As the demand for it grows, even local artists will see that's a genre they can start tapping into.
Okay, probably I'll say the society we live in has given us the perception that it belongs to such a class, but from my own perspective, I think it's the love for music. Provided the music, you find it entertaining and informing, then anyone can fall within that class. So it's the society to take the initiative of making people aware of jazz so that they can accommodate it irrespective of the social class.
The 2016 edition was headlined by three-time Grammy Award winner Branford Marsalis. And to perform alongside Branford, local talent had to be carefully selected through auditions.
Actually went for the audition like everybody else. There were, I think, close to 30 bands that actually auditioned. And we auditioned just like everybody else. And I think the most difficult part with the more established musicians is, you know, when you have the attitude of, I cannot audition because I'm already an established musician. But this is the only platform where you can actually showcase your capabilities as a jazz artist, because you cannot do that with our regular gigs that we have.
As the popularity of jazz continues to grow, local performers say they are hard at work investing time and money. adding that there is huge room to scale their music to a wider audience.
But your normal Kenyan today is much more informed, thanks to the internet and the YouTube. And I think one of the most important things that we need as a country to be able to reach the levels of South Africans is basically education. Music education, jazz. For instance, we do not have a jazz club in Nairobi. Which is should not be the case. You cannot have a jazz festival and not have a jazz club where musicians who have come for the festival can actually go and have jam sessions, and that's where they can be able to engage.
In West Africa, you have the culture being embraced, and people in the grassroots, they do a lot. I think there are more festivals than in Kenya, but I stand corrected, of course. So if we have more of those, and it doesn't have to be too big, well, we can grow from that. I've listened to the international artists, and it's amazing to be on the same stage with them. But we need our own sense, and we can do that.